What is going on, fight fans? I'm Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I'm joined by one half of the must-see fight at UFC 252. What I am calling the Battle of the Brandons. He is the man that has been one of the biggest stories in the UFC flyweight division in 2020, and now he heads into a battle between number 2 and number 6 ranked flyweights, hoping to secure title contender status in 2021. And that man is the one they call Raw Dog, aka Brandon Royval, Mr. Dog. What is up, and thanks for the time.
What's up, brother? What are you up to?
I'm fantastic. I'm excited to talk to you about this fight. This is an amazing fight. But before we get into this fight, okay, so I wanted to start with maybe the most important question first. You want to hit him hard right away. You have had 2 UFC fights, 2 impressive performances over 2 top flyweight veterans, and in both instances, I interviewed you before both. Now, let's forget the fact other people probably interviewed you both times. We're not going to worry about that. But just asking the question, am I bringing you legitimate good luck before these fights, Mr. Royval? Am I good luck?
I'm feeling like it, man. I'm trying to stick with tradition, man. So, yeah, keep calling back and let's keep winning.
In that case, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Let's try to blow up together.
So one of the key moments in the Kai Kara France fight was him hitting you with a serious shot that floored you. Even when you stood up, you had, as Dan Hardy might describe, as newborn giraffe legs, and you still ended up landing an insane spinning back elbow on him that hurt him and really changed like the momentum of that fight from then on. Honest answer. Were you kind of on autopilot a bit in those moments, or were you not really as hurt as it seemed in that moment?
I like really don't know, man. So I like as soon as I landed the elbow, like I was fucking clearly right back in it. Like I felt good.
Yeah.
But I remember like clear like in the fight thinking, I'm like, shit, is this how this is gonna go? Like I remember like kind of thinking that I'm like, am I about to be like someone's highlight reel right now? And I remember like clearly thinking that as soon as I got hit, and then like right like I didn't necessarily knew I fell right back down. Like I was just so in the moment. So like when I look back, I was surprised that happened because I remember telling my coach, like, that didn't even rock me. Yeah. And I remember telling my coach that, and then I watched the video and I was like, oh shit, I think I was rocked. Like, that doesn't look good, you know? And I don't know. I would like to say it caught me off balance, but like I don't know. Like I'm sure I rocked the shit out of me. I was just so in the moment. Like there's so much going on, you know. And then right after that, like I'm right back into a fight, and then I probably did something that like I almost got DQ'd for, and then I'm trying to hit a move of my life. Like it was just like a crazy 20 seconds. If I was rocked, I'd have time to think about it. And I knew I was like more chasing him down than anything at that point. So I was like, all right, I'm back in charge. Like, let's go.
Now let's talk about the chasing down stuff, because you have a pretty unique style, but not an unseen kind of style in MMA. In ways, it kind of, at least to me, reminds me of Tony Ferguson, where it's so serious push forward mixed with like completely unpredictable stuff, high output. Is it all controlled chaos for you in there, where it's prepared for, you're setting up things and looking to land specific shots? Or are you kind of just free flowing it? It's instinct. It all comes in the moment. Or is it kind of a little bit of both?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of both, man. Because I practice like a little bit of stuff like that flying or that spinning elbow is like something that's not like I haven't hit a bunch of times. I have a highlight reel like a minute long of just that move alone of just landing back elbows throughout my professional career. Like let alone I guess I can't like just my professional career. So like I don't know, like it's all stuff that I have, and it's all stuff that's there. I don't necessarily plan to go forward the whole entire time, especially that fight. Like I think it would have played a little bit more to my like benefit if I just picked him apart from the outside and stood clean in there. But it made for an exciting fight, and I got hit, and I have a little bit of that like brawler's mentality. As soon as I get hit, we're fighting, you know, and that's kind of what makes this fight really exciting. But for you guys, for sure.
Now let's talk.
I'm trying to be smart about it, but that's what you're gonna talk. I'm gonna try to go in there and be technical, but sometimes I just get hit and I go forward, man, and it's a little bit of a problem because like I'm a technical fighter, you know, and I could be a technical fighter. I could pick these guys apart if I really wanted to, but like I have that mentality. As soon as that bell rings, you know, it kind of turns differently.
And I'm glad you kind of went in that direction because what I was kind of sort of asking about, because we talked about a little bit too before the Kyle France fight, maybe using Brandon's blueprint against him, and you guys have similar kind of traits and style, and there's similarities to it, but that's what I was gonna ask you about. Is this a fight that, make it an all-out war, bring in aggression, maybe force him, a guy that does have that Mexican spirit, a guy that can be aggressive too, force him to be the technical fighter? Or now that you bring up that you can be far more technical than you showed, is that more the plan, considering how much is on the line in this fight? This fight could really put you in serious flyweight title contendership. Is the thing, you know what? He's as tough as all hell. I can't go in there and be crazy. I need to be technical. I can't be like Kai Kara France fight.
So as far as like that goes, I think as far as like just Brandon Moreno goes in that fight, I'm not gonna play too much of like how much is on the line. Like I don't really think too much about that, and okay. I guess it's not something that really like. It's something that like I smile about, and every time someone says it, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's it. But like the reality is, I'm fighting Brandon Moreno. And, like, like, everything you just said, all those accomplishments you just said, and like his mentality is like that excites me. That wakes me up in the morning. Like, but I know I'm better than him in like both aspects. I think like as far as brawling mentality goes, I hit hard. I have faster hands than him, and like I can beat him in a brawl if I need to. That being said, is I'm way more technical than him. I think I can pick him apart with ones and twos and just stay safe and just not stay safe, but just bring a brawler out of him and capitalize off that. I could capitalize off him and that brawler mentality. Mm-hmm. And I think I can really do that. And I think this is a really good chance for me to just show a whole different side of myself, and just like show that technical aspect that I don't need to brawl. I don't need to like throw wild or anything. And that's just like not. I don't want to be necessarily. Compared to Tony Ferguson. I got a lot of Tony Ferguson comparisons, and like I not anything against him because he's a great fighter, but I see exactly why they said that, and I was like,
it doesn't bring longevity.
yeah, exactly. I was crashing forward too hard. I was walking forward too hard, and I don't need to pride myself off a good chin. Like I don't need that. Like I'm a good fighter. I'm a good counter fighter. I can fight like technical anywhere, and I think it'd probably play into longevity for sure of my career. But also I think it'd benefit me really well in this fight if I go sit back and just pick him apart from the outside and beat him more of a technical aspect than anything. But like I said, I have that brawler's mentality too, man. I have a little bit of that, like, all right, you hit me, like, let's go, motherfucker. Like whatever that is, I've always kind of had a little bit of that attitude with me. So I don't know how the fight's going to play out, but like in my head, I know that if I go out there and pick them apart, I'm going to win that fight 100% of the time.
And saying like that, I don't know how the fight's going to play out. Is there a part of you as you go on this MMA journey, get further along in the pro ranks, have further success, now you're reaching the heights of flyweight, is there a part of you that in camp and even in the fight has to say, okay, he hit me, but I'm a professional fighter at the highest level, I can't play into my personal pride and turn this into brawl. I have to be technical like I know I can be. Is that like an internal battle you've had to go through in the last few fights on some level? Maybe sometimes you lose it like the Kai fight. Maybe sometimes you win it. Like, is that something you have to work on? Like, I have the technical skills. I don't need to get dirty if I don't have to.
Yeah. Honestly, I've only really like had to like one fight I just brawled and like I was definitely like an emotional mind state for that fight, and it was a really fucking great fight. Honestly, it was like one of the better I've ever. Yeah, I fought this dude named Vicky Palacios for Combate, and it was just a fucking war from start to finish. But and then that Kai France fight is like a little bit where I kind of fell into that too, like brawlers, or like sometimes when I fight like a wrestler that takes me down, you get up and you want to just start chasing them down a little bit. So I've had that, but I also had fights where I just pick people apart and I didn't get touched, and I'm over here just doing a little bit of both, just being creative and like throwing a little craziness, but at the same time just staying long and picking them apart against the fence, So, but most of my fights are like, I don't know, most of my fights are a little chaotic. So, and I have a lot of people trying to wrestle me. So like, it's not something that I have to think of until I'm fighting Kai Kara France and I get hit and I'm like, wow, nobody's ever hit me like that. Like I haven't fought a striker in a minute. Like I'm fighting all these wrestlers. So I get hit. I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch, And like I get into that like, all right, we're fucking fighting mentality, Where like I don't know. I guess I could kind of calm down emotions, and I think that says something about like I don't know, like just emotional intelligence as a fighter. It's like if you can get hit and you can stay calm under that fire and just realize, hey, I'm still more technical. I got hit one time. That's not the end of the fight, you know. But like, I think that says something about like the maturity of fighters. And Adesanya is great at having that, man. He gets hit and then he's like, whatever, bitch, you hit me one time, I hit you 10 times. Like, I let that sometimes like a little bit like dictate who I am right now. And like you hit me, I'm like, oh, you motherfucker, you know. And I'll like, even if I landed 10 punches, and like I could like change a little bit like that. And I don't want that necessarily. I don't want to be known for that person at all. I want to be known for like an Adesanya taking no damage at all and still being one of the better strikers out there, you know, and still being an exciting fighter and all that. So that being said, is like, it's something that I need to work on for sure. And I just haven't had much chances to work on it in a cage, man, just because I fight a lot of wrestlers, man. Or even when I fight someone, maybe they're not a wrestler, but they'll turn into a little bit of a wrestler, you know. So.
And I feel like this fight is probably going to force you to do it again. That's just the kind of guy Brandon can be at times, but he's evolved as well. But I know most fighters feel like the next fight is the biggest fight, but he has just 5 losses in 23 fights. Never in any of those losses was he subbed, was he knocked out. With him also being the number 2 ranked guy in the division, is it fair? Is it? I know you mentioned before you feel like all these various things you feel you are better than him on, but is he still one of the best fighters? Maybe the best fighters you fought yet? Is he not? Or at least if he's not, are there dangers you have to take very, very seriously with him? Because again, he's number 2 ranked guy. You know, this is he's earned it, and he's a top flyweight in the world.
Maybe like dangerous as far as like we look at like on the card and stuff, and like what his accomplishments and like how he is as an opponent. Yeah, like maybe the most dangerous as far as that goes. But as far as dangerous matchups for me, I don't think he's the most dangerous matchup I've ever had. Wow. I think there's scary matchups for me, and I think everything he does plays right into my fucking hands. I think everything he does is going to benefit me a little bit, and I think that he's dangerous, and I think as far as like accomplishments, he'd be like the best accomplishment on my belt for sure. Right. But as far as dangerous opponents for me, I don't think he's the most dangerous one I've faced so far, and I don't think he's the most dangerous one out there for me in the flyweight division.
Do you feel that Tim or Kai might have been more of a tougher fight for you, or that fight hasn't happened yet?
I don't necessarily think Kai was the tougher matchup. In a sense, I think Tim Elliott's the worst matchup for me in the flyweight division. Wow. In a sense, like also because just what he brings, and I think Tim Elliot with the cardio, man, is a nightmare for me, man. Because if he can keep that up the whole entire time and wrestle me for 15 minutes, that's issues, man. Like if he doesn't fuck around with my ground game, he takes me down, punches me a little bit, and then stands right back up, and then like lets me up, and then takes right back down and stays on my ass. Like that's a nightmare fight for me. So I don't know. I think Tim Elliott's the one of the worst matchups for me in the flyweight division in the UFC right now for sure. And but that being said, is like Brandon Moreno stylistically is probably the most dangerous. You know, he's a complete fighter. He has a really good ground game, and he has really good stand up. And those are just like what he brings to the table. And he has a mentality that's hard to match. You know, and I don't think anybody's really matched his like mentality in the cage of like, all right, I'm going to come forward and I'm going to do what I have to do to win these fights. And he's had some close fights in his last couple fights, and he always third round pushes through, gets that mentality, and he gets that little chip on his shoulder. He'll scream in between rounds, and next thing you know, he's more like a bigger badass than he was the round before, you know. And I think he brings in a lot of dangerous stuff like that, and I'm not trying to undermine anything he does. I just feel like stylistically, it's a really good fight for me, man, and I like this. I like the matchup completely.
Now, with the win, your future could be very bright, could be a title contender. Speaking of the title, in the main event of that card you're on is Alex Perez versus Deiveson Figueiredo. What are your thoughts on that fight? Who do you think is leaving 255 with the flyweight title?
I don't know, man. I really have no clue. So this is like I want Alex Perez to win, man. That'd be great to see. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I'm really interested to see how they match up. It's gonna be interesting to see how these two lock up, and like if they end up like grappling each other, like how that ends up, the scrambles, and then a little bit of the chaos between the stand up, man. I want to see what they both bring, because I know Alex throws heat, and Figgy obviously throws heat. So we'll see what happens between them two. Like I really have no prediction or anything. I'm really curious. I'm like more curious to see what happens than anything, man. and obviously I'll be there taking notes and learning what I can and getting all that stuff done.
Now this year has been great for you, and I'm glad to, at least on the journalism end, to kind of be a part of the journey and chronicle this journey for you. Because if you win this fight, it's completely fair to say you are the biggest story in flyweight in the UFC in 2020, even bigger, at least to me, than Figueiredo and what he's done. You enter the promotion unranked, fight 3 of the division's best, and could end the year ranked like in the top 3, on the cusp of a title fight for 2021. Has that like realization even sunk in? You could be on the cusp of the best story in an entire UFC division, and maybe the entire UFC at the end of this year if you win on the 21st.
Yeah, man. So when you say stuff like that, it like really excites me, man. I like try not to think about it because like obviously that's just like a like it doesn't matter. I gotta go fight a motherfucker.
Of course, yeah.
Like that's the mentality I have to carry in, and that's what I wake up every day thinking is like, all right, I gotta fight this dude. I gotta get this done and accomplish this. Where I'm not thinking like the long story and like what could happen like with it that like. But like every time someone says it to me, I'm like, oh yeah, that is like an option. That's a possibility, right? Anytime someone says, I'm like, oh yeah, that is kind of a big deal, But to me, it's just like I'm just preparing for another fight, and like this one's definitely a bigger deal as far as like the guy I'm fighting and the stage I'm fighting on, and obviously what it leads to is what it leads to. But like that's not at the forefront of my mind right now, I guess. And every time I hear someone say something like that, I'm like, holy shit! Like I guess it's been a big year,
Yeah.
But, like life hasn't really changed, I'm still grinding. I'm still just chucking away at this shit. So like I don't ever notice like a big difference or like the stories or whatever. I just kind of like hear them and then like don't read any of the articles, or I try not to, because I know this is all like just a moment in time, you know what I'm saying?
True.
So I'm appreciating it for what it is and then realizing what it is too, so I don't know.
With the win, I mean, like we talked about, you could be a contendership. Now, the big story in the division this year was Cody Garbrandt jumping fucking everybody and getting the title shot, even though he was 1-3 in bantamweight. A win here does a lot for your case, and there's no denying the UFC, when Dana White sells the issue of I want guys that are fighters and go out there and put on a show, you've put on a show every damn time, and I would imagine you and Brandon are going to put on a show in a couple weeks as well. Do you feel a win over the number 2 guy as the number 6 guy would help you leapfrog Cody Garbrandt and get that cloud out of the way and get you into the position to face the winner of Alex and Davison?
Yeah, for sure. Fuck that dude.
I like that answer.
It's so funny. Like as soon as like he was gonna jump Alex Perez and Brandon Moreno, I was like, it's probably what's best for the division. And then
I asked you about that.
It might be Brandon Moreno though. Fuck Cody Garbrandt. All what's best for the division. Like the story that you're talking about. You gotta stick with that.
Yeah.
The 2020 story. I'm trying to ride that coattail. But. I hope not, man. I hope that if I just go in there and beat Brandon Moreno, that I can get kind of considered. But at the same time, like I haven't paid my dues in the UFC. I'm having kind of a quick come up so far, and I get like getting a little bit of that. Like, all right, I need to pay my dues for the company a little bit too. So I don't know. But that being said, is my mind state quit like on where Cody Garbrandt fit into the picture changed so quick as soon as I was fighting Brandon Moreno.
Yep.
I was like, well, he doesn't deserve that title, so I'm over here chipping away. Making flyweight 3 times this year. This is bullshit. He hasn't even done it once. Yeah, bro. So it was so funny how like quickly my mind state changed on that one when it affected me directly.